Can a single absurd decision ruin a career? Can a ball rolling on its own change the fate of a tournament? Today we're going to revisit some of the most unusual, ridiculous, and costly moments ever recorded in the history of professional golf. We're not talking about bad swings. We're talking about situations that border on the inexplicable. On-screen title: The most absurd moments in professional golf. Case 1. Ricky Fowler and the triple penalty. Ricky Fowler is leading the Waste Management Phoenix Open with authority. Everything points to a stress-free win until the 11th hole puts him to the test. After a poor shot, his ball ends up in the water. Nothing unusual. He takes his proper drop near the green. But then, the unusual happens. While Ricky turns away, his ball seems to come to life, slowly rolls downhill, and goes back into the water. For the second time, and because the ball was already in play, he gets an additional penalty. Fowler's face says it all: disbelief, frustration, and resignation. The most striking part isn't the mistake itself, but the context. Even so, against all odds, he manages to win, posting the worst final round ever recorded by a champion in that event. An epic victory, tarnished by a moment that still fuels memes today. Case 2. Bryson DeChambeau and the fight with logic. World Golf Championships 2021. Bryson DeChambeau, known for his obsession with details, finds himself in a tricky spot. His ball has come to rest right under a wire fence, marking out of bounds. Anyone would say, "Tough luck, it's out." The official stretches a string between two stakes and a tiny portion of the ball is still touching the course. It's in, legally. But it doesn't end there. Bryson asks for relief because he has to stand on a paved path. Can he play the shot? He insists he can. He says he'd punch it low back to the fairway. The referee, incredulous, allows it. Result: relief granted, ball saved, and a masterclass in pushing the rules to the limit, without breaking them. Case 3. Mark Rowe and the scorecard that eliminated him. Open Championship 2003. Mark Rowe, a tour veteran, is playing the round of his life at St Andrews. After years of anonymity, he suddenly finds himself in contention for the title. But when the third round ends, the unthinkable happens. He's disqualified, not for cheating, not for misrecording his strokes, but for an absurd technical detail. He forgot to exchange scorecards with his playing partner before starting the round. Both players recorded their scores correctly, but on the wrong card. When they signed at the end, without realizing it, they invalidated everything. His brilliant round was erased, his opportunity destroyed by a simple oversight. And with that, his last real chance to win a major vanished. Case 4. Lloyd Mangrum and the most expensive insect in golf. 1,950 U.S. Open. 3 players arrive tied for the final playoff: Ben Hogan, George Fazio, and Lloyd Mangrum. The tension is at its peak. Every shot could decide the champion. On the 16th hole, Mangrum marks his ball on the green, cleans it, and as he replaces it, an insect lands on it. Instinctively, he marks it again, removes the bug, and makes his putt. Everything seems normal, until an official approaches him on the next hole. He's informed that under the rules at that time, he could only remark his ball if it interfered with another player's line. The insect wasn't a valid reason. Result: 2-stroke penalty. What had been an even battle turns into a sporting tragedy. Hogan pulls ahead, drains a 50-foot putt on the next hole, and seals the win. Mangrum defeated not by skill, but by an instinctive gesture and a ruthless rulebook. Case 5. Hideki Matsuyama and the Forbidden Paint. Memorial Tournament 2022. Hideki Matsuyama, Masters champion, starts his round with his usual 3-wood. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Until an official spots something strange. The club face is coated with white paint. It's not dirt, it's not tape, it's paint deliberately applied to help with alignment. Harmless? According to the rulebook, absolutely not. Any foreign substance added that can influence the ball's behavior renders the club non-conforming. Even for a single stroke, that was enough. Result: immediate disqualification. He didn't miss a swing. He didn't break a rule while playing. His mistake was trusting a tiny visual modification that ended up costing him the entire tournament. The price of details in a sport where everything is measured to the millimeter. Case 6, Sergio Garcia and the Uncontrollable Fury, 2019, Saudi International. Sergio Garcia is having a bad day, growing frustration. On the fourth hole, after a bunker shot he's unhappy with, he lets the anger out. He starts violently smashing the sand with his club. The scene is grotesque. But the worst comes the next day. Several players report severe damage on 5 greens. The culprit? Sergio. In a fit of rage, he had deliberately damaged putting surfaces that other competitors would later play on. The tournament organizers had no choice. He was disqualified under Rule 1, 2A, which covers serious misconduct, an unprecedented sanction. Garcia apologized, saying only, "A couple of greens were damaged." Reports say 5, an episode that left an indelible stain on his career and a reminder of what happens when emotion overrides control. Case 7. Cam Davis and Will Zalatoris, the mistake that cost nearly $1 million. First round of the year's first major. Cam Davis is putting together an impeccable performance. Will Zalatoris, after a long injury, is fighting to reclaim his place among the elite. But on the 15th hole, something unprecedented happens. Both players realize they've played each other's ball, an unforgivable mistake in professional golf, where identifying your ball is a near sacred routine. According to the rules, they must return to the previous spot and replay their shots, adding a 2-stroke penalty each. Result: double bogey for both. For Davis, that meant dropping from the top 10 to 14th place. For Zalatoris, from 6th to 26th. But the most painful part was financial. Between the two, they lost nearly $1 million in prize money. It wasn't bad play. It wasn't pressure. It was a tiny oversight with massive consequences. Case 8. Michelle Vie and the signature that left her out. 2008 State Farm Classic. Michelle Vie is in one of the best stretches of her career. She's just finished a brilliant third round. 67 strokes. Only 1 shot off the lead. Everything seems set for a final round battle for the title. But then, someone reviews the previous day's scorecard. She had turned it in without signing it. A volunteer tried to fix it, ran after her, told her. She came back and signed. According to LPGA rules, once a player leaves the designated scoring area, any later correction attempt is invalid. That signature came too late. Disqualified. A simpler oversight erased one of the best rounds of her career and robbed her of a chance at a victory that could have changed her path forever. Case 9. Patrick Reed and the quote, "No one forgot." 2014 WGC Cadillac Championship. Patrick Reed has just achieved the biggest victory of his career so far. Excited and confident, he steps up to the microphone and delivers the line that would follow him for years. "I'm one of the top 5 players in the world." The problem? He wasn't. He wasn't even in the top 20 of the rankings. The statement was seen as arrogant, detached from reality. Analysts didn't take long to tear him apart. However, the curious part is that, over time, Reed started to back up his words with results. He won the Masters in 2018 and reached 6th in the world rankings. He didn't quite make the top 5, but he came close. Overconfidence or prophetic vision. The quote sounded ridiculous at the time, but it wasn't that far from the truth. Case 10. Álvaro Quirós and the putt that wouldn't drop. Portugal Masters, 2015. Álvaro Quirós reaches the 12th hole with a clear opportunity. A 10-foot putt for birdie. He barely misses, but leaves the ball just a few inches from the hole. A simple par. Or so it seemed. He steps up confidently, makes a light tap, and the ball after hitting the back edge of the hole, bounces up and stays out. Even the commentators can't react. It's one of those moments when luck turns cruel. The stroke wasn't hard, the angle wasn't strange, but the result was absurd, a bogey on what should have been a par. The image of Quiros, frozen, staring at the hole as if it had betrayed him, says it all. There are technical mistakes. And then there are moments when it just feels like golf is mocking you. Case 11. Ian Woosnam and the Extra Club. Open Championship, 2001. Ian Woosnam starts the final round with a brilliant birdie on the first hole. He's atop the leaderboard. Everything is going according to plan. But on the second tee, his caddy says something that freezes the moment. We've got 15 clubs in the bag. Basic golf rule. The maximum allowed is 14. The caddy had forgotten to remove an extra driver after the warm-up. An enraged Woosnam throws the extra club into the bushes. His chance to win the Open vanished due to a distraction that could have been avoided in 10 seconds. It wasn't a playing error, but a logistical one, and it cost him glory. Case 12, Camilo Villegas and the Cursed Sand. Tour Championship. Camilo Villegas finds his ball buried under a bed of pine needles and sand. He suspects it's embedded. If it is, he can lift it without penalty. But there's a catch. According to the rules, sand doesn't count as ground when determining if a ball is embedded. Villegas calls for a rules oficial. The situation is reviewed. Relief denied. He asks for a second opinion. Another official. Same verdict. Finally, with no options left, he is forced to play the ball as it lies. No penalty, but plenty of frustration. Because in this sport, the line between legal and illegal can come down to a pine needle or a grain of sand. Case 13. Roberto de Vicenzo and the most expensive signature in golf. Masters Tournament, 1968. Roberto de Vicenzo turns 45 and is playing one of the best rounds of his life. He finishes the day seemingly tied for the lead. But there's a hidden detail on his scorecard. On the 17th hole, his playing partner wrote down a par when de Vicenzo had actually made a birdie. A simple mistake, a wrong number. But de Vicenzo signed the card without checking it. In golf, what's signed is final. Even if the real score is better, the higher number stands if that's what appears on the signed card. Result, he loses the chance to enter the playoff and misses out on the title. His reaction became one of the sport's most famous quotes. "What a stupid I am. One signature, one wrong number, and the highest possible price losing the Masters on your birthday." Case 14. Rory McIlroy and the confrontation that crossed the line. Ryder Cup 2023. Rory McIlroy and Matt Fitzpatrick have just lost their match to Patrick Cantlay and Wyndham Clark. The tension is thick, but everything explodes when Cantlay's caddy, Joe LaCava, celebrates provocatively right in McIlroy's line of sight as he prepares for a crucial putt. Rory asks him to move. Twice. LaCava doesn't budge. The moment doesn't end on the green, it continues in the parking lot. McIlroy, still furious, confronts Justin Thomas's caddy. The shouting can be heard from a distance. Shane Lowry has to step in to prevent things from getting worse. The video of the altercation goes viral. Rory, normally calm and composed, had lost control. In a tournament where emotions run high, this was the boiling point. A scene more fitting for a street fight than a golf championship. Case 15. The fan who walked in like it was nothing. Scottish Open, 2021. Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Justin Thomas are preparing to tee off on the 10th hole. Suddenly, a spectator walks right through the security barrier and calmly approaches McIlroy's bag. No one stops him. He checks out the clubs, grabs an iron as if he were in a shop, and strolls toward the practice area. He even tries to take the driver head cover as a souvenir. The three best players in the world watch him with a mix of astonishment and disbelief. Security staff are slow to react, and when they finally intervene, the fan resists, as if he were part of the event. No one was harmed, but the incident left an uncomfortable question. How was it possible for someone to get that close, that calmly, without anyone stopping him? An absurd and concerning scene. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this journey through the most absurd mistakes in professional golf history, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episodes. Every week, we uncover what happens on and off the course, with real stories that go beyond fiction. See you in the next video.